It was pitch black when she stepped outside. Nothing but the moonlight showing the way. She didn't have time to put her shoes on, so she quickly stepped on the wet path. She started to run. It was too cold to be slow. She looked back and was pleased to see that nobody was following. Soon she entered the forest. It seemed that the whole forest floor was dancing. Shadows casted by the moonlight. She never felt afraid in the dark. Truth be told, she always felt safe here, so she knew at any moment she could hide and become one of the trees, or take a shape of an animal, or simply hide as a shadow. It felt safe that way, safer than being amongst the people, and tonight was no different. She jumped shadow to shadow, laughing, swaying her hips and lifting her long heavy skirt a little bit higher so it wouldn't get wet. And as she followed the dance with the shadows and moonlight, she soon started to hear a song. And without thinking, she followed it. The song could never lead you to a bad place, she thought. And soon, step by step, sound by sound, hip sway by hip sway, she walked onto a little opening in the forest, in the middle of which a fire was burning. She paused for a second, but there was nobody around. The fire crackled and the flames threw themselves higher in the air. She giggled and moved closer to it, stretching her cold hands towards the orange blazing flames. "Why are you here?" she heard the voice come from the fire. "I come here tonight, for I had to run away from my house. I ran away because I wanted a different life." The fire crackled. "Why do you wish for a different life?" "Because I don't like the one that I have," the girl said. "My stepmother is mean. She makes me clean and cook all the time. I don't get time for myself, for there are always chores, endless chores." She moved closer to the fire, feeling the heat on her body. "Can I stay here? Or perhaps you could tell me where am I to go next?" she asked the fire. "Yes, indeed. I am the all-knowing fire. I only come to those that truly seek, in the moment when nothing else is plausible to show them a way. So what is it that you seek? What kind of life?" The girl paused for the moment. She never thought the kind of life that she wanted. She only knew what she did not want, and that was the life that she had. "I guess," she said, "I want freedom. I want to be able to dance freely and sing beautifully. I wish for time and moments where I could sit and look at the birds and watch them play and sing and jump branch to branch on trees. And I would like to have friends to do it with. That would be great. That would be a good life, a life of freedom." "So be it," said the fire. "I can show you the way to that life, and I will give you objects that you must take with you." The girl jumped up, excited and full of vigor. "Yes," she said, "yes, I take this. Thank you. Thank you, sacred fire." And she bowed down to the fire. The fire moved and started to grow in its size, so much so that the girl had to take a good dozen of steps back to not get burned. The flames started to weave with each other, rising and falling, becoming bigger and then smaller, wider and sharper, deeps colored and orange and blazing white. And soon so bright it became that it blinded the girl, and she had to close her eyes. And a moment later, everything went still and silent again. She opened her eyes and saw a gentle flame in the place of the fire. And right by the fire, there were three things. There was the most beautiful green dress made out of silks, decorated with sparkly diamonds and other precious stones. It was so delightful that she gasped as she saw it. "This must be your present to the first woman that you meet," the fire said. "Give it to her freely. Give it to her fully. This is not for you to have, but for her." The girl sighed with disappointment, but she nodded in agreement. "Here," said the fire, "is a white handkerchief. You must keep it to yourself." The girl looked at the plain white cloth. There was nothing seemingly special about it, just like the many she had. But she lifted it up gently and held it close to her heart. "Thank you, fire." And she took a step to the third thing. And there was a wooden bowl full of soil. "Take it with you," said the fire, "and once you arrive, put it around the lands that are barren. Sprinkle the soil where you wish for new life to be." And as the fire said it, the flame grew smaller and suddenly jumped right in front of the girl. She stood there with the dress, the handkerchief, and the bowl of soil. "Now, follow the light. I will show you the way to your new life." She followed the light through the dark forest, smiling to all the dancing shadows and the trees, to the deers that were hiding in the dark, and the curious hedgehogs. And soon she came to the edge of the forest. And as she stepped forward, outside of the forest she saw a light in the distance, a light that belonged to a house. "This is where you go," said the fire. And as it said it, it burst into thousands of light particles and vanished like stardust. "But wait," said the girl. "Wait, this cannot be so." She could not believe it, but she was standing right in front of her house, the one that she left, the one with the mean stepmother and with a distant father and siblings that she didn't like or couldn't find a common language with. "This cannot be right," she shouted. But nothing but echo came back at her. "Can be right, can be right, can be right." She sighed heavily and moved towards the house. Her stepmother opened the door, hearing her approach. "Oh, here you are. We've been waiting for you and so worried. Where did you go? Why did you leave?" The girl sighed and moved through the door into the room. Unwillingly, she remembered the words of the fire about the dress, so she stretched her hands and gave it to her stepmother. "This is for you." The stepmother took the dress and was speechless. She'd never seen anything this beautiful in her entire life. And as soon as she touched it, the dress came alive and swirled her in the deep green color, covering her in jewels and green silk. And she stood there, looking like a goddess, full of vigor and beauty. She hugged her stepdaughter. "Thank you," she said, "thank you. I always dreamt of this dress since I was a little girl. And now it came true, all thanks to you." She kissed her on the forehead and held her tight towards her heart. And she started to move and dance in the dress. And as she did, all the jewels started to sing vivaciously and vibrantly with such zest for life that soon the whole room lit up in sound, and everything and everyone was dancing in it. And the girl laughed. Taken by this energy of joy, she lifted her hand up with her white handkerchief, waving it. And as she did, the dazzling white color stretched across the room, blinding everyone with beauty. The most melodic and beautiful sounds filled the room. Angelic voices, bells and whistles. It sounded heavenly. The house lit up brighter and brighter. And so bright it became that soon it turned into a crystal palace, dazzling in the light. Bewildered and joyful, the girl jumped outside, holding on to the ball of soil. She dropped it near the crystal castle and put the first seed she could find, which was the seed of an apple tree. And there in front of her, a tree started to grow, stretching its roots, and in no time, the tree became an orchard full of radiant apples. And so the place became known as the Crystal Palace. And as for our girl, she got exactly what she wished for. She now spent her time singing and dancing and watching birds jump from one branch to another in her orchard.